Hello everybody, and this is All Star Productions, and we are taking a look into day 2 of the Wmma6 Developers Journal. So here's a little bit of a recap for the Wmma6 Developers Journal. For those who haven't been with Adam Ryland and Grey Dog Software for previous games, the purpose of the journal is to reveal all the new features and modifications that will appear in any upcoming games so that you know what to expect before the release. In this case, there will be a new entry every weekday for the next 4 weeks. So we had a whole frequently asked questions thing and a whole other thing of day 1 that came into play. You'll be able to, you can check that out on another video of mine if you haven't already. And if you want to get more content, I do more than just coverage on this. I play games with Wmma5. I'm also doing TEW9 and in the works of doing a TEW 2020 save. And once Wmma6 comes out in the public beta, I plan on purchasing that and testing out a few things within the public beta. I'll probably end up doing a couple of live streams as well. I want to be one of the first few people to upload a video for Wmma6, but that might be easier said than done. And anyways, we're gonna now talk about the developer journal for today. First of all, let's talk about number 3, ranking methodology. The way rankings are calculated has been redone to be more realistic and reactive. Based upon suggestions from users, roughly speaking, the new methodology means that beating an opponent will now almost always see the winner leapfrog the loser in the rankings. This brings it closer to reality and means that fighters can rise up the rankings far quicker than they could in previous versions. So basically, let's talk about that. Rankings are now calculated where if fighter A beats fighter B, fighter A will jump ahead of fighter B in the rankings in most cases. Why does this matter? It's closer to real life. In the world of like in real life MMA, if you beat someone ranked above you, you usually move past them. Wmma6 now reflects that logic instead of using slower, more abstract movement. Faster rises. Prospects and surging fighters can climb the rankings much more quickly instead of being stuck in place for several fights and for several wins. There's some fighters that have been into like a 7-fight streak and somehow still aren't really high up in the rankings and contending for a title fight. And based off of the sounds of it, means that they'll be able to be more of a title contention and will be able to actually book title fights that people will actually care about. And the clear cause and effect. Wins feel like they mean something. You can now look at the rankings and say, he beat that guy, that's why he's here now. And we've got better storytelling with that as well. Upsets matter more. A big win can catapult someone into title contention instead of just nudging them slightly upward, which really helps with that too, as I was talking about previously. For people not familiar with the older games, previously, rankings could feel sluggish or overly mathematical. Fighters must beat someone above them and still not move past them. Wmma6 is supposedly fixing that by making rankings react more like an actual mixed martial arts world, which is great. So now on to number 4, where we get manual rankings. This is huge. By popular request, users now have the ability to manually edit their company's rankings. Additionally, automatic updating of rankings can be switched off entirely if the user wants to handle everything themselves. That is also huge. So let's talk about what changed. You can now manually edit your company's rankings and can even turn off automatic updates entirely. And why does this matter? You get total control over that. If you want your rankings to reflect storylines, hype, or promotional bias, you could do that. You could fix any of the weird cases that may come by as well. If the game's automatic logic produces a ranking you don't agree with, you can then correct it. And you've also get some role-playing realism. You could simulate promotions that don't always rank purely by merit, like pushing stars, protecting prospects, or slow-rolling contenders. And you could even create custom universes with this. For fantasy or heavily modded worlds, you might want rankings to follow your own rules instead of the game's, which is also great. Or you could make it entirely chaotic, where a fighter could have an insane losing streak and still be at number 1. That's totally up to you at this point. So that is great news there as well. Before this, rankings were basically locked into the game's internal logic, for those who are new to WMMA. But now you can treat the rankings like a tool for storytelling and not just a mathematical output. And you can do a lot more with that. It brings it more into a sandbox type of feel than it already has. And I always say, when it comes to simulation games, the more control a player can have, the more fun a player is going to have overall. And the fact that this was added into it is absolutely incredible. I am very excited for this. I probably will mess around with this too, honestly. Maybe not as much as some people will, but I probably will mess around with it for a couple of my series that I do too. I typically didn't have too much of an issue with the ranking system. I mean, there were some times where I was like, why isn't this fighter up in the rankings? But otherwise, I personally didn't really have too many issues. But it's great that this is happening, because I know a lot of other people did have issues with it. And the fact that you're able to turn it off entirely too, that makes it even better. Now we're going into number 5. This is a big one too. Mass negotiations. Adam Ryland writes, a mass negotiation feature has been added that now allows players to easily handle contract offers for a large number of fighters all in one go. This addresses one of the more frequent complaints regarding the time it took in previous games to deal with the basic admin tasks. This is a little confusing for those who may not personally understand what is going on, but rest assured, I will do my best to explain it to you. First of all, we'll talk about what changed. There's now a mass negotiation feature that'll allow us to handle contract offers for a large number of fighters all at once. I'm not really sure what that means yet. We're not really sure how that's going to work. I assume what will happen is that there will be like a button when you click on the characters, and there will be like a check mark where you can try to click on like mass negotiate and just try to get everybody that's been checked off there into negotiation. But ultimately, we'll have to wait and see what indeed that means. That's just gonna have to be something where it's like, that'd be something where we'd have to play around with for a little bit. But Why does this matter? As we talked about, as Adam Ryland talked about too, this is a huge time saver. In older games, renewing contracts or signing lots of fighters meant having to click through each one individually. It just got tedious. There were a lot of times where there'd be a lot of times where like for example, if I was recording or doing a live stream, I'd be negotiating for a while because I like to sign as many fighters as I can. And I like to be able to have as big of a roster as I can, especially when I'm doing a promotion that cannot do exclusive contracts at the moment, because then that gives me a huge opportunity to book as many fight cards as I can. And if I lose a couple of fighters going to like the UFC or any of the higher up promotions based off of whatever I'm doing, then that's something I don't really have to worry about. But yeah, no, I agree. It got tedious at times. It got boring at times. There was a few times where I would be staying up for hours upon hours of just trying to sign fighters, and adding this up there makes it great. There's less admin and more booking. We'll be able to spend less time on paperwork and more time on that part of the boring stuff. And then we'll be able to spend more time doing matchmaking and storytelling and the world building and doing all the things that we came to do, build the fight cards. And the big rosters become more manageable. So like I said, I like to have a big roster in whatever save I'm doing. So if we're running a huge promotion or multiple companies, this helps keep the game playable long term as well. And again, in my case, that helps me out a lot too, because it won't take as long to sign fighters. My only concern though with that is how exactly will that work? Because there's a checkbox method that I was talking about. There could be another thing that comes into. Like I said, that'll be something we'll have to play around with. And again, also, what if there's a fighter who's at low-level regional that gets checked off, but a fighter that's at high-level international? How would that work? That's the other thing I want to know about too. But again, that'll probably just be something we'll have to play around with, because it's not really talked about. It doesn't really say anything about that, but it's also better for modders and for universe or with real world or fantasy mods that have massive rosters. It's something where it won't necessarily feel like a chore to maintain either. Again, kind of what I was talking about with the big rosters becoming manageable makes it more manageable for the real world or larger databases in general. So for those that aren't familiar, one of the biggest complaints was how long contract management took, and where Adams and Greydog Software are directly addressing that by letting you batch the process instead of doing it individual by individual, which that really helps out. The sixth thing, which kind of, in my opinion, it is good. It's a nice addition, but in my opinion, is more of a addition that's more cosmetic than actually helpful by any means. it is a nice addition. Don't get me wrong. This doesn't take away by all the other stuff that we've talked about, but expanded end of year awards is the sixth thing. The end of year awards have now been expanded to include male and female versions of each category. I mean, so the end of year awards had, actually, hold on, give me 1 second. I'm showing you guys a little bit of what the end of year awards looked like for this, for WMMA5. So we've got Fighter of the Year, Female Fighter of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Company of the Year, Team of the Year, Show of the Year, Fight of the Year, Worst Fight of the Year, Knockout of the Year, Submission of the Year, Main Event of the Year, and Upset of the Year. And it sounds like we have separate male and female categories for each of these awards, is what Adam Ryland is saying. I'm not sure exactly how to feel about all that. Again, it seems more of a cosmetic thing, but I also think it's cool. Sorry about that. Anyways, we get proper recognition is why this matters. We have more depth, and it's better for modern worlds, and we've got storytelling fuel. So first of all, proper recognition. The female fighters will get their own spotlight instead of being overshadowed into mixed categories, which is nice. As somebody who believes that there's too much sexism going around in the world of combat sports still, I think that's great. Again, it just is more of a cosmetic though. We have more depth. You get more award winners, more history and more legacy to look back on. And I'm a bit of a history buff. I like to look back at stuff. And a couple of content creators that I've watched too are like that. So I that's great for them. We'll be able to do more into that. And better for modern worlds. The real world MMA has a strong roster for the women as well. We've got all kinds of different weight classes in different companies for the women now. So much so that we've got companies dedicated only to women. So that in there will help reflect this reality, which I think is great again too. And awards can become part of a fighter's narrative. Like we already had Female Fighter of the Year, but we'll have like Female Fight of the Year supposedly too, and worst female fight of the year, or maybe even worse, or maybe even like female main event of the year as well. So for those that are new to the series, the end of year awards are like the game's way of saying these were the standout fighters and fights and companies and all that, and splitting them there by gender makes the world feel more complete and respectful to both sides of the sport. And now finally on to the last thing that I want to talk about. It's the rules templates. What Adam Ryland posted here, he said, by requests, rule sets can now be saved as templates for future use. This is a quality of life change that allows users to quickly apply alterations without having to go through and change rules individually each time. This can save a lot of time, especially if the user is running a company that doesn't use a consistent rule set for every fight. This is huge. And we can now save the rule sets as templates and apply them quickly instead of manually changing them every single time. And honestly, I didn't even think about that. I haven't really messed, like when I change the rule set, when I have a rule set, I just kind of keep it there and leave it. Sometimes I'll change it around a few times, but me personally, I didn't really mess around with the rule sets too much. But I think it's great. I didn't even realize there was a bunch of people asking about this, but the more I think about it, like, because like, for example, like in real life, one championship does like 3 rounds of 3 minutes for Muay Thai, or 3 rounds of 5 minutes for MMA, or 1 round of 10 minutes for submission grappling. And I think they do 3 rounds of 3 minutes for kickboxing as well. I could be wrong on that, but that's not the point. And the rules are different for the main events too in one championship. So it makes sense why this is happening. I think it's great. It's a huge time saver. If you run multiple rule styles, like for example, different rounds, scoring, or cage versus ring, etc., you won't have to rebuild that every single time. Consistency. You avoid mistakes like forgetting to change one rule for a specific event or a specific fight. And like I said earlier, that gives us creative freedom. And like I said earlier, the more freedom we have, the more fun we typically have as well. So you can easily now run special rules events. You can easily run different rules for different divisions or different fights going on. You could even run cross shows with unique rules into that as well. It is more of a thing for fantasy worlds. I will say that you could use this within real life too, though. If you are building a universe with multiple organizations with multiple unique identities, templates would make that practical too. And previously, if you wanted different rules for different fights, you had to manually adjust those every single time, and it was slow and error prone. And again, I didn't really mess with it. I didn't really know it was a thing, but doing some research and messing around with Wmma6, it was something you could do, but it was a lot of tweaking around, and it was tedious, and there was always that worry if there was something you missed or something you accidentally changed that wasn't supposed to change. So it was just a lot. It looks like it was a lot, but Wmma6 lets us save the setups and reuse them instantly, which is great. And yeah, we've already got 7 different features shown into the developer's journal, which I think is great. I will be back for tomorrow's entry in the developer's journal as well. But when Thursday and Friday come around this week, I have plans. I will not be able to do so. I will get back to you whenever I can. There will be a video that comes out Thursday and Friday for Thursday and Friday's entry, I believe this weekend. If not this weekend, it'll be on Monday next week. So rest assured, I will get to you on Thursday and Friday's entry, but it won't be on Thursday and Friday because I am busy. But I will be here for tomorrow. You'll be able to watch this again for Wednesday's entry. I'm very excited. I cannot wait because we've already got 7 different things going on, and I'm already very excited for what's to come for the future for WMMA6. Stay focused, stay tuned, because it's going to be great. And what a comeback WMMA6 is becoming. And stay sharp, stay focused, and stay the all-stars that you are. Peace out, everybody.